We're about to get into the mind of a legend. And I'm not just talking about the fighter, I'm talking about the philosopher, the icon, the absolute force of nature who literally used his own mind to bend reality to his will. We're going deep on the operating system of Muhammad Ali.
This right here, this is the key to understanding everything. It's how a young man from Louisville didn't just win fights. He won the war for his own destiny before he even stepped in the ring. See, his words weren't just trash talk or predictions. They were code. They were the tools he used to build this unshakable reality, first inside his own head and then inside everyone else's.
But to really get the power of his words, we have to go to a moment when they were completely taken away from him. A moment of pure, silent panic. Total darkness, right in the middle of the brightest lights in the entire world. This is where the legend almost died before it was ever truly born.
Just try to picture this. It's February 25th, 1964. A young, loudmouth challenger named Cassius Clay is in the ring with Sonny Liston, the most feared man on the planet. And Liston isn't just a champion, he's like something out of a nightmare, an absolute executioner who just demolished everyone. Clay has been talking non-stop, calling Liston a big ugly bear, predicting his own victory, and pretty much annoying the entire world. But now, in the fifth round, something is terribly, terribly wrong. Some kind of substance, maybe from Liston's gloves, gets into his eyes, and just like that, his vision is gone, replaced by nothing but a searing, painful blur.
He stumbles back to his corner, totally lost, blinking like crazy into a world of just pain and shadow. All of a sudden, the loudmouth challenger is silent. All that bravado, just gone. He's terrified. He's a blind man fighting an assassin. And across the ring, Sonny Liston, this invincible champion, is just pacing, waiting for the bell so he can go finish the job. In this moment, Clay is done. He's ready to quit. The whole myth is about to crumble before it's even been built. That's what he was screaming to his trainer, Angelo Dundee. Pure panic. I can't see. This was it. This was the moment where most stories of greatness would just end. But Angelo Dundee refused. In the middle of all that chaos, he stays calm, throws some water in Clay's eyes with a sponge, and then he does the unthinkable. He shoves his blinded fighter off the stool and back into the ring, screaming, "This is for the title. Now get out there and run." And this is the whole point. He survived. Blinded and terrified, he just danced. He held on. He used every inch of that ring as a sanctuary until his vision, slowly, miraculously, started to come back. And when it did, he didn't just survive, he completely dismantled the champion. He unleashed such a storm of punches that Liston quit on his stool. That win wasn't just about his fists, it was proof of something much deeper, a conviction so strong it could guide him even when he couldn't see. But where in the world did that come from? To find the source of that power, we have to leave the roar of that championship ring and go back in time. All the way back to a quiet street in Kentucky and one single moment of injustice that planted the seed for everything to come. Young Cassius Clay Jr. grew up in the segregated South. It was a world that was literally designed to make him feel small, to limit what he thought was possible. Just having dignity was a fight you had to have every single day. And that bitter feeling of being powerless was everywhere. The foundation for his legendary confidence wasn't built on privilege, it was built on struggle, in a world that told him over and over that he was less. So, the real spark, it wasn't some grand dream of becoming a champion. Nope, it was much smaller and way more personal. It happened when he was 12. His brand new, prized red Schwinn bicycle, his symbol of freedom, really, it got stolen. For a kid, that bike was everything. And in that one moment of loss, he felt this deep humiliation, this rage, and that sickening, familiar feeling of being totally powerless. Crying and furious, he found a police officer, Joe Martin, who, as luck would have it, also ran a local boxing gym. He told Martin he was going to whoop whoever took his bike, and Martin's reply, it changed history. He looked at this fiery, teary-eyed kid and just said, "You better learn how to fight." He didn't just give him advice, he gave him a path, a way to channel all that anger into something powerful. And that's exactly what he did. From that day on, his discipline was his answer to that feeling of injustice. He started running alongside the school bus every day, not because he loved running, but because he was building a weapon against weakness. He learned to embrace the pain of training as his way of taking back control. Every drop of sweat, every exhausting round in the gym, it was all part of a quiet vow to himself: I will never be powerless again. And this early fight laid the groundwork for what would become his greatest weapon.
Okay, so from that foundation of discipline, born from a stolen bike, this powerful philosophy started to take shape. This wasn't just about hitting the gym, it was about psychological warfare, waged first against himself and then against the entire world. And this is where we get to the real core of his genius. He developed what we can call the belief loop. It's basically a self-feeding cycle of confidence. It's the art of becoming what you repeatedly and loudly say you are. Now, this is not fake it till you make it. It's more like speak it until you become it. He understood that your words literally program your subconscious mind. And if you say something out loud, publicly, over and over again, your mind and body will start working around the clock to make it true. This quote says it all, doesn't it? He wasn't stating a fact. He was declaring an intention. He was laying down the tracks for his own destiny. This wasn't just bragging. It was a masterclass in performance psychology, happening live for the whole world to see. He was literally programming himself to win and using the media as his personal amplifier.
Now, here's what's so brilliant about this. The belief loop gave him this three-part advantage before the first bell ever rang. First, it built his own self-conviction. He heard himself say, "I am the greatest," so many times that it bypassed any doubt and became a core truth for him. Second, it planted opponent doubt. His rivals weren't just fighting a man, they were fighting a myth, an idea of this invincible force. It got in their heads. And third, it gave him media leverage. I mean, whether you loved him or hated him, you had to watch him. He guaranteed an audience, which meant bigger money and a bigger platform. It was just genius.
But here's the thing you absolutely have to understand about the belief loop. The words were the engine, but the fuel was work. Unrelenting, brutal, invisible work. All that talk would have been a joke without the insane discipline to back it up, every single day.
Ali's confidence wasn't a gift. It was earned. It was earned in the dark, lonely hours before the world woke up. It was forged in pain and pure exhaustion. He knew that for the world to believe his audacious claims, he had to first prove them to himself through suffering. The boasting was just the final polished product of a grueling process. And this slide just perfectly lays out his system. Let's break it down. His road work wasn't a morning jog. He called it murdering the sunrise, a symbolic way of conquering the day before it even began. He'd do these 6-mile runs in heavy army-style work boots to build raw power. His famous lean-back defense? That wasn't just to dodge punches. It was a physical taunt designed to make his opponents miss and gas themselves out. And his sparring? That was his science lab. He wasn't there to win practice rounds. He was there to experiment, to perfect one move for a real fight. And finally, the poetry. His rhymes weren't just for show. They were a ritual, a way of programming his own mind and broadcasting his conviction, to himself just as much as to anyone else. This entire system, that vow he made as a kid, the belief loop, the brutal discipline, it all came together to build more than just a champion. It built a man with a conviction so powerful that he was willing to sacrifice everything he had ever worked for. This is where Ali goes from being an athlete to being a legend. The truest, most powerful test of his self-belief wasn't lifting that championship belt over his head. It was letting it go. When he was drafted to fight in the Vietnam War, a war he was against for religious and moral reasons, his entire world was put on the line. The belief loop had built a man who believed in himself. Now, that belief was about to go head-to-head with the US government. I mean, just look at the stakes here. On one side, everything he'd ever wanted. The heavyweight title, the most famous prize in sports, millions of dollars, fame. On the other side, his principles. He was convicted of draft evasion, they stripped him of his title, and he was banned from boxing. He chose his moral integrity over his entire career.
4 years, from the age of 25 to almost 29. That's an eternity for an athlete in their absolute prime. He gave it all away because the belief in who he was and what he stood for was stronger than any title the world could give him or take away from him. And in doing that, he transformed. He became more than a boxer. He became a global symbol of resistance, of courage, of speaking truth to power. He totally redefined what an athlete could be. His time away from the ring only made his voice louder, and his sacrifice cemented his legacy forever. And that brings us to the final round. Because the story of Muhammad Ali isn't just a history lesson. It's a user's manual. It's a direct challenge to every single one of us. The most important fight any of us will ever face isn't with someone across a ring. It's with our own internal doubt. It's that quiet voice that tells you you're not good enough, you're not ready, you're not worthy. Ali's life gives us the blueprint for how to win that fight, not with our fists, but with our belief.
So how do you activate your own belief loop? It's a 3-step process, straight out of Ali's playbook. First, declare. Just like Ali told the world he was the greatest before he ever had the belt, you have to state your biggest goal out loud. Stop keeping it a secret. Second, discipline. This is the hard part. Ali backed his words with those brutal runs and heavy boots. You have to back up your declaration with relentless daily work. You have to earn your own belief. And third, become. Ali didn't wait for the title to act like a champion. You have to start acting from the position of your finished goal. Make your decisions as if you've already won. Your words, backed by your actions, will become your reality.
When you get right down to it, Muhammad Ali was that 12-year-old kid who had his bike stolen and decided he would never feel powerless again. The belief loop was the weapon he created to reshape his world. That belief cost him everything, which is exactly why it earned him immortality. His story proves that our lives are often just a reflection of the story we have the guts to tell about ourselves. So the real question he leaves us with is, what story are you telling? Because in the end, the person with no imagination can stand in the ring forever, and they will never land a single punch.